Hello! Today I'm going to be doing 5 crafts that are about $5 each. So assuming that you have some acrylic paint and brushes at home and a hot glue gun, you'll only be spending about $5 on each of these crafts. Alrighty, so for my first cool craft from the Dollar Tree, my first item, I was inspired by this red bottle. I've already made a potion bottle tutorial, however, this one was so bright red that I thought to myself, vampire blood. And lo and behold, I found bloody bites. They are little glow-in-the-dark teeth with some red candy liquid. I'm not going to need the red candy liquid, but I just loved the teeth. And I also found a vampire blood bag. Alrighty, those are the 3 items that you need. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, I have my materials, my hot glue gun's all heated up. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we need to open up this. Okay, put the candy to the side. We're not gonna need that. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and cut this in half. Okay, because we're gonna be fitting this onto the bottle. So if your hot glue gun's heated up, go ahead and do that. Okay, so 1 little vampire bite. Ooh. There we go. On this side. Bam. Vampire bite. Now we're gonna do one on the other side. So that'll be cool on either side, right? And one on this side. Come on, you could do a little bite. It's a little bite. There, vampire bites. Spooky. Okay. Now what I need to do is I want to go ahead and use this bag. And I'm actually going to cut it so I could use it as a label. So there's going to be 1 front side and 1 back side. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to put some hot glue along the edges of this and place it on there. Okay. Vampire blood. Extra spooky bottle. But I do want to use a little bit of red acrylic paint and just dab the little vampire bites. But also, I thought it'd be really cool to add some accent vampire blood coming from the thing. So I'm just going to purposely drip some down here. And we're going to make a cool little blood spot on each thing. I'm going to do this to the back side as well. It'll be really cool. Very cool. I love that. That is just amazing. You might have to do 2 coats so that way it stays bright red and there's no transparent parts. Right? So that'll be cool. Check that out. It's so cool. So now we have vampire blood. Alright, I'm going to put this project to the side. What you do next is just go ahead and paint the other side and add a second layer if you would like. Okay. Alrighty, now for some spooky lighting. So for this one, I have 2 glasses, and I thought to myself, they kind of look like candle holders, so that's what we're going to make. Okay, so here are my materials. I have my 2 glasses, my LED candles, and I have a creepy cloth. So the candles are going to be just ever so slightly too big for this. Yeah, just ever so slightly. Plus, the idea is you want to be able to turn them on and off and replace the battery if you need to. So that's why I don't want to glue them to this. Alright, now for the spooky cloth. And you're going to need some of this for each candle, so don't, so just think about that. Don't use more than half for one. Right? So yeah, what I'm going to do is I think I'll just cut it in half right away so I don't make that mistake. So cut it in half, 1 for each candle. If you have extra, that's okay. We could always cut off any excess if we need to. So I'm going to do, I'm going to start putting it into here so it fills up. And then the candle is just going to rest on the top. Okay, there. Alright, spooky. Okay. So you could actually have it coming out of here and have that be part of your accent, right? That's fine. Ooh, look at that. I love it. Check that out. It's just the right length. Oh yeah. Sweet. So I'm going to leave that excess dangling on there. And you could either cut it off, you could keep it, however you want. But I actually really like the way that looks. And then you're just going to place the candle right in there. Et voila. Spooky candle. I am so excited about how these turned out. They are super spooky. They are candle holders, votives, whatever you want to call them. But they'll add the perfect spooky ambiance. Let's check this out. I'm sorry, I wish I could have a better picture of this. It's just so hard with my camera lighting. Alrighty, next we're going to be making a crystal ball. Now, I was inspired by this crystal ball. I couldn't believe it when I just found a regular crystal ball. It's plastic. But I found this crystal ball at the dollar store. If you want, you could just buy this and you're ready to go. But I want to make some embellishments and go ahead and make it look spooktacular. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these, and then you should get some like party cups. You can either do the paper party cups, they're wider, or the plastic ones, and they're better for different reasons, okay? So this pretty much fits exactly on the paper one, but you'll probably need to paint over them unless you get like a solid color one like black, so that it doesn't, you know, the design doesn't show up. Or you could use these clear ones, okay? But the problem is it doesn't match up exactly. That's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to be putting some cool ribbon around there. So either way, it should work. I'll do one, and then in my reveal, I'll show the other style. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I have a basic materials to start. I got my crystal ball, I have a party cup, and I have some mesh. Alrighty, so the cool thing about these crystal balls is that you could actually open them and put something in them. So I'll show a couple examples of what would be cool to put in there. But the idea is don't glue around that rim. And when we glue this, we only want to glue the bottom, so that way we could embellish it later if we want to. Well, gee, now it's working. My hot glue gun got jammed. I fixed it. It's okay. Phew. Alrighty, so we're just going to glue this to there. I'm going to try and make it as centered as possible, but alrighty. Do the best I can. Alright, there. I guess I could have done it either way, because it's going to dry and then we're going to be able to flip it over, right? So either way, you can do it this way or the other way. And the idea is that we're going to be able to take this on and off. So while that's drying, I'm going to get the mesh ready. Alright, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get a long bit of this, and I'm going to double it up and just wrap it around there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're going to fold it in half, and then we're just going to wrap it around it until it's the consistency that we want, the darkness. Get it to bunch up over the bottom and the top. And if you want to go over the lip of this just a little bit, so you don't see that gap, that works. Okay. Alright, I think I'm just going to dab this little end, so hopefully it won't ravel as much. If you want to add more glue, you can. I think I'm going to tuck these edges in as well. Be careful because it's mesh so you don't accidentally burn yourself. Go straight through, so try not to get it on your fingers. I've already done that. Alrighty. To not get it on your fingers, it might be better to use like a little marker to press it down so you don't burn yourself. See, that is a good technique. Okay. So there we have our crystal ball. And I just want to show you an option. So this has only cost 2 different pieces so far, right? So another thing you could do is, if you like, you could go ahead and open this up and you could put a candle in there for ambiance. So that's one option. Okay, so you could have a candle in there. And then, ooh. Spooky. And then another option is to go ahead and buy spider webs. And you could go ahead and put that in there, and it creates like this really cool swirl effect. I want to show you. It makes it actually look even more like a crystal ball, like there's some sort of magic swirling around in there, which is really cool. Woo! Let me show you what that looks like. They also come with a spider, so if you want, you can stick a spider on the top. That's also cool. Alright, so if you stick this into here, It kind of looks swirly. I'll show you. Alright, it actually makes it look like there's some sort of swirls going around in there, like magic, which is really cool. And then if you like, you could go ahead and cut the edge of your spider and then stick him on top. Alrighty, my crystal ball is complete. So I've added spider webs on the outside along with a little spider, and I had the spider webs on the inside to make it look as if there's some sort of magic smoke going around in there. And the cool thing is, if you want to change it up, you can. All you gotta do is take off this outer layer of spider webs and unscrew this, and you could change what's inside here. Like I said, you could put a fake candle in there. And so yeah, that's my spooky crystal ball. Alrighty, we're going to be making specimen jars next. This next one was inspired by this plastic specimen jar I found. It says bone dust. So I thought, hey, how can I make it look like there's actually bone dust in there? So we have all our materials to get ready. We have our specimen jar, bones, and some white sand. Okay, so we're going to open it up, and we're going to just start with a layer of sand. Okay, just to fill the bottom. Alrighty. Ooh, now you can actually read where it says bone dust better. That's great. Okay, cool. I'm going to add a few more bones just in case it gets bounced around at some point someday. And I am going to go ahead and thinking about if I want to add, I just want to add a little bit more. I don't know if you can see that, to get to the top of where it says bone dust so you could read it clearly. Okay, so I am going to open up that second bag. Okay, and right now we have some bones sticking out of the top. I wish I could show you, but my camera is just... There we go. So we have some sticking out the top, which looks really cool. Okay, nice. I like that sticking up. Very cool. Alright, now we're going to add some bone on the top. Sweet. Okay. I'll put the jar top back on. And it's really hard because I don't want to tip it, so I think I'll just show it to you now that it's completed. Alrighty, so here's my bone dust specimen jar. Super cool. Alrighty, I want to show you a specimen jar alternative and talk a little bit about that. Alrighty, so I got my jar. I got spider webs. Woo! You can either keep the spiders in there or take them out. It's up to you. And we're going to cut this. Attempt to. I think it's very, very, very difficult to work with. Okay, and we just spread it out a little bit. And we're going to want to put some eyeballs in there. Okay. You can mess around with it and put it in there however you like. And this is just an alternative. Pretty fun. Use however many you want. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and make a spooky spell book. Okay, I have all my materials to get started. I got a book, tissue paper, sticker embellishments, and some glue. Of course, you're going to need your own acrylic paint. So you could use brown paint, you could use your metallic paint, and you're going to need some matte medium, acrylic matte medium. We're going to use that as the glue to adhere the tissue, and also it thins your paint if you need to. First thing you're going to do is take your tissue and bunch it up, and then you're going to open it back up. So it has this funky texture. I just want to see the size of this book, if I'm going to be able to just put it right around it. Oh, check that out, I am. It's going to make my life a little easier. Okay. So now we need our acrylic matte medium. Open that up. You're going to need a brush, of course. And so we're just going to put some on the cover. This stuff, you know, acrylic dries pretty quick, so we're just going to get this on here and then get it started. Okay. So this is going to act like a glue. You may want to put something down on your table first so that it's not a big mess. Just a thought, like a table cover. And you're going to want it to not be perfect, so you want it to be all bunchy. Okay, so it's going to create a funky texture. Whoops! That part ripped, we'll cover it. So there. And I'm just going to tuck this in. Then we're going to keep going. We can cut off those edges later if we want to, or just tuck it in, it'll be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of it onto there. This project is going to take some drying time, so that's an important thing to think about is, you know, as you're working on this, you're going to have to wait for it to dry before we add our paint layers, you know, and so on. So just to think about it. All right, so this is going to go on here, and again, you just want to gently let it be bunched so it gives it texture. Okay, so now we're going to, I want to fold it in so that it covers the whole book, but we probably don't need quite all that, so there's a little bit excess. So I'm going to cut a little bit of this off. And we're going to leave some space to fold it over into there and glue it in, but you don't quite need all of that to wrap it. So now we're going to take this part, and I'm going to cut just here so that it'll fold in. Same over here, we'll do that to the other side when we get to it. Okay, so now we're going to use some more paint. We're going to use some more acrylic medium. Ooh, my book is actually, the black ink is coming off. Oh dear. What can you do? There. I decided to cut that so it's less bunched up. Alright. When you're working with acrylic matte medium, you can actually also go over to it and it's going to seep through. I'm not going to worry too much about this page getting stuck to it. In fact, if it did, it'll hide those edges, so voila. It doesn't matter if that sticks. Same on this side. So now we just have to wait for this to dry so that we could go ahead and paint it how we want. And it's got a really cool texture. If you wanted to, you could even use some white spider webs and just have a cool spider web look. That's another alternative. That would be neat. So I've set my book out to dry. And I recorded this, and then for some reason it didn't save. Oh no. So I'll tell you what I did for my next steps. What I did was I used a colored pencil and outlined where I want spells to be. It was very faint, but at least gave me a guideline so I can make sure it will fit. And then I used this and wrote spells. We have to wait for that to dry. And in the meantime, I decided to paint my black jewels with some acrylic paint. So here, this is where I'm left off. This is still wet, but I'm going to start painting this black in the meantime. It looks so cool. Not to get in between little pieces. You might have to do more than one coat. Just see how it works out for you. The spell book is dry so far. The word spells came out. However, when the glitter glue dried, it became a lot more flat than I'd like it. So I am going to go ahead and go over it with my hot glue gun and hope for the best. Otherwise, I suggest doing this at the end so it sits right on top of your finished paint. Either way. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. Also, I need to put these on here, and it might be helpful to see where they're going to lay before I go ahead and finish the spells wording. So there needs to be enough space. Oh, I love that texture. Okay, I'm going to cut off the edge. You know, the hot glue wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. It actually turned out okay. I would just recommend using this hot glue gun right off the bat. So I'm going to wait for that to dry. So I've covered this with black paint, the part that says spells, and gone over any white spots that I saw. Okay, and now I'm just waiting for it to dry. Alrighty, so I decided I'm going to try and keep this closed, and I'm going to use some metallic paint and go ahead and paint the top and the edges of this book so that it has this really cool golden color to the pages. So I'm not going to video doing all that because it's going to take a little while, but you can imagine that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll show you when it's done. And the other idea I thought about is, what if instead of using this, on certain other points, what if I use it to look like it's, keeping the book closed? So I might go ahead and use it to wrap around here and have it wrap around the jewels. Let's see. So I'll check back in as soon as I go ahead and finish painting the edges. Okay, so this is where I'm at so far. I have gold on this side, I have gold on the back, and I've painted all the edges gold on the paper, and it just looks amazing. It looks spellbinding. Okay, so what I decided is for the jewels, I'm going to go ahead and put one big jewel in the front, one big jewel in the back, and connect it with one of these to make it look like it's locked that way. I also want these to be a little bit more gold, so I might paint them. It's just an idea. Add a little bit more gold paint to it so it really blends with the rest of this. So I'm going to go ahead and add more gold to these before I put them on. Alright, so I'm going to take this gold. Just going to lightly brush it so it pulls out the texture of this book. Do you see that coming out? Oh, I hope you can. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to go over this with this, smaller brush and really get this spells to stand out. That's my plan. So I'll check back in when that's done. Okay, so at this point, I've taken the jewel, I've taken the strip that I have here and wrapped it all the way around, put the other jewel, and I've even cut out little pieces of it to accent the little parts so it really stands out. I would say maybe invest in one more strip of this textured bit or extra jewels, because I did use one extra jewel from when I was making the crystal balls. I was making the crystal balls and I had a jewel left over, or you could just do a different pattern. Alrighty, here we have it, our spell book. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here's the spine, it's got a jewel on the edge. Okay, and it wraps around with the gold edges, and it looks like it's sealed, which is really cool. And we go to the jewel on the back. Awesome. And all the edges are gold as well. So cool. So once you get to that point, you could go ahead and do any touch-ups with a little bit extra gold paint to go over any hot glue that's showing, or add a little bit to it. That's up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But that's it. That's our spell book. Super cool. Here we have our crystal ball, our spooky candle holders, our spell book, our vampire blood, and specimen jar. Super spooky. What a setup. I love it. Okay, so this is showing some of the alternative methods. I have the second crystal ball and I have the second specimen jar with eyeballs. Spooky. Alright, I hope you liked this video. Thank you for crafting with me. If you like this video, click like, hit subscribe, and check back for some more cool crafts and DIYs. Thank you for watching!